You probably know these celebrities from movies, music, or TV, but what you might not know is they're raising black or biracial kids. From royal families to Hollywood icons, here are 25 white celebrities you didn't know have black children. Madonna. Madonna, the pop star, has adopted 4 black children from Malawi, Africa. Her adoption journey started in 2006 when she adopted a boy named David Banda. David was just a baby when Madonna found him at an orphanage. His biological father was alive but couldn't take care of him, so he gave permission for the adoption. Madonna brought David to the U.S., and he quickly became part of her family. In 2009, Madonna adopted another child from Malawi, a girl named Mercy James. This time, the adoption wasn't smooth. There were legal issues because Mercy's extended family didn't want her to be taken out of the country. But after a long court battle, Madonna was allowed to adopt her. Mercy has lived with Madonna ever since. Then in 2017, Madonna adopted twin girls, Esteri and Stella, also from Malawi. The girls were just 4 years old and living in an orphanage. Madonna shared their adoption story on Instagram and thanked Malawi's courts for allowing her to become their mother. Madonna now has 6 kids in total, and 4 of them are black. Angelina Jolie adopted a black baby girl from Ethiopia in 2005. The baby's name is Zahara Marley Jolie. At the time, Zahara was just a few months old and living in an orphanage. She was very sick with health issues when Angelina found her, but Angelina made sure she got the care she needed and brought her home to the U.S. Later, when Angelina was dating Brad Pitt, he also legally adopted Zahara. So Zahara became part of the Jolie-Pitt family along with their other adopted and biological kids. Angelina has always said that adopting Zahara changed her life in a big way. She's very protective of her and wants her to grow up confident and strong. She also makes sure Zahara stays connected to her Ethiopian roots. For example, Angelina takes Zahara to Ethiopian restaurants, helps her learn about the culture, and keeps her in touch with people from her birth country. Zahara has grown up away from the spotlight most of the time, but she's been seen at red carpet events with Angelina and her siblings. She even started college recently, and Angelina was super emotional about it, like any proud mom would be. Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron adopted 2 black children, both when they were still babies. Her first child was Jackson, adopted from South Africa in 2012. Charlize is originally from South Africa too, so she said it felt right to adopt from her home country. Jackson was just a little baby when she brought him home. Later, in 2015, she adopted another baby, a girl named August. This time, the adoption was done in the U.S. Charlize was single when she adopted both of them, and she's been raising them on her own ever since. She's talked openly in interviews about how becoming a mom changed her entire world. She said she didn't care about the race or gender of the kids she adopted. She just wanted to be a mom to kids who needed love. But she was also clear that she knew black children have different experiences growing up in the world, and she's trying hard to make sure she does right by them. For example, Charlize pays attention to things like hair care, cultural representation, and making sure her kids have people around them who look like them. She said in interviews that being a white mom to black kids is something she takes very seriously and that she's constantly learning. She wants her kids to grow up proud of who they are. Sandra Bullock has 2 adopted black children. Her adoption journey started in 2010 when she adopted her son, Louis Bardo. At the time, she was going through a messy divorce, so she kept the adoption private until everything was finalized. Louis was just a baby when he came into her life, and she has often said he was the reason she was able to move forward during that hard time. In 2015, Sandra adopted her second child, a girl named Layla, who was 3 years old at the time. Layla came from the foster care system in Louisiana. The process was long and emotional because Layla had already experienced trauma and needed time to feel safe and secure. Sandra said it was worth every moment. She's been very open about raising 2 black children as a white mom. Sandra admits she's still learning, but says she's always trying to understand the world through her children's eyes. She talks about how important it is to have open conversations about race, identity, and what it means to grow up black in America. Kristen Davis. Kristen Davis adopted 2 black children and has been very open about her journey as a white mom raising black kids. She first adopted her daughter, Gemma Rose, in 2011. Gemma was a baby at the time, and Kristen was a single mom who just wanted to give a child a loving home. Then, in 2018, she adopted a baby boy named Wilson. Kristen didn't just adopt them. She really committed to understanding what it means to raise black children in today's world. She said she knew from the start that love alone wasn't enough. She had to also learn, listen, and take action. Kristen has talked about facing unexpected challenges, especially as her daughter got older and started asking questions about her identity. That's when Kristen realized how important it was to give her children a strong connection to the black community. She makes sure they are around people who look like them. That includes teachers, friends, and even the babysitters she hires. She wants her kids to see themselves in the world around them, not just at home. Mariska Hargitay. Mariska Hargitay, along with her husband Peter Herman, adopted a black baby girl named Amaya Josephine in 2011. That same year, they also adopted a baby boy named Andrew, but Amaya is their only black child. Mariska has talked about how the moment Amaya was born, she and her husband were in the delivery room. They had a strong connection with the birth mom, and it was all very emotional and beautiful. Amaya came into their lives with so much love, and Mariska says she felt like their family was complete. She didn't adopt based on race. She said they just wanted to grow their family and were open to any child who needed a home. But once Amaya was theirs, Mariska knew she had a responsibility to raise her with care, awareness, and respect for her identity as a black girl. Mariska hasn't shared too many personal stories about Amaya in public, but she has said that adopting across racial lines has been a deep learning experience. She understands that Amaya will have different experiences in the world than her white parents, and that's something she takes seriously. Connie Britton. Connie Britton adopted a little boy named Eyob, but everyone calls him Yobi. She adopted him from Ethiopia in 2011, and she was a single mom at the time. Connie said it was something she had dreamed about for a long time. She always wanted to be a mom, and adoption felt like the right path. Yobi was just a baby when she brought him home, and she has said that becoming his mom changed everything. She knew it wouldn't be easy, especially as a white woman raising a black son, but she was ready to learn and grow for him. Connie doesn't post about Yobi all the time, but when she does, you can tell how much love they have between them. She once said that being Yobi's mom is the greatest gift of her life. She also makes sure he knows about his Ethiopian roots and tries to keep his culture alive at home. She's very aware that her son will face things she's never had to deal with because of his skin color. So she talks about race openly with him. Connie has also used her platform to talk about adoption. She supports causes that help orphans and families in need. Mary Louise Parker. Mary Louise Parker adopted a baby girl from Ethiopia back in 2007. Her daughter's full name is Caroline Abarash Parker, but she's mostly called Ash. At the time, Mary Louise already had a son, so Ash joined a small but loving family. Ash was just a baby when she came home, and Mary Louise has always described the experience as one of the most beautiful and emotional things she's ever done. She said she didn't do it to rescue anyone. She did it because she wanted to grow her family and share her love. Mary Louise is very private, so she doesn't talk about her daughter a lot in interviews. But when she does, it's clear that Ash means the world to her. She said Ash brought a whole new light into her life, and that being her mom is deeply meaningful. Jillian Michaels. Jillian Michaels adopted a little girl named Lucensia from Haiti in 2012. Lucensia was about 2 years old when she joined Jillian's family. That same year, Jillian's then partner, Heidi Rhodes, gave birth to their son, so they suddenly had 2 kids in 1 year. Jillian has been very honest about the adoption process. She said it wasn't easy. It took over 2 years to complete everything, and there were lots of delays and emotional ups and downs. But she never gave up. She wanted Lucensia to be part of her family no matter what. Once Lucrencia came home, Jillian had to learn how to be a mom really fast. And not just any mom. A white mom raising a black daughter from another country. She quickly realized there were things she didn't know, especially about race, hair care, and identity. So she started learning and listening. She's talked openly about making mistakes and trying to get better. She doesn't pretend to be perfect. What matters to her is that her daughter feels safe, loved, and proud of who she is. Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman and his wife, Deborah Lee Furness, adopted 2 kids, and their son, Oscar Maximilian Jackman, is biracial, part black and part white. When they were looking into adoption, they were told that mixed-race kids are often harder to place with families. That actually made Hugh and Deb decide to adopt a child who needed a home the most, and that's how Oscar became their son. Oscar was just a baby when they brought him home. Hugh has talked about how adoption was the best decision they ever made. He says that being Oscar's dad changed his life and gave him a new sense of purpose. Even though Hugh is super famous, he and Deb have kept their family pretty private. But when they do talk about parenting, they make it clear that they want their kids to grow up proud of who they are, including their race and background. They make sure Oscar knows about his identity and feel comfortable asking questions. It's not just about love and hugs. They also talk openly about race, adoption, and how the world might treat him differently. Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer adopted a baby girl named Claudia Rose in 1993. Claudia is African American, and Michelle adopted her when she was just a newborn. At the time, Michelle was not yet married, so she adopted Claudia as a single mom. Later, her husband became part of their family and helped raise Claudia too. Michelle has always kept Claudia out of the spotlight. You don't see a lot of pictures or interviews about her, but Michelle has talked about the adoption in a few interviews. She said that becoming a mom to Claudia was life-changing and one of the most powerful things she's ever done. She has also talked about how being a white mom to a black daughter made her realize how different the world treats people based on skin color. It opened her eyes, and she wanted to make sure Claudia was raised in a way that made her proud of who she is. Michelle didn't want Claudia to feel different in a bad way. She wanted her to feel special, loved, and accepted. She focused on helping Claudia grow up with confidence and a strong sense of identity. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda didn't adopt through a legal agency, but in 1982, she brought a 14-year-old black girl named Mary Luana Williams into her home and helped raise her like a daughter. Mary was the child of Black Panther activists, and Jane met her at a summer camp she ran for kids from underserved communities. Mary came from a tough background. Her parents were struggling, and Jane saw that she needed more stability and support, so she invited Mary to live with her full-time. Jane never made it a big media thing. She just quietly brought Mary into her life and treated her like family. Over time, Mary began calling Jane her mom. Jane has said that raising Mary taught her so much, not just about parenting, but also about racism, culture, and privilege. Jane made sure Mary stayed close to her roots and stayed connected to the black community. Mary later wrote a memoir about her life and included her time with Jane. She spoke with love and respect about how Jane gave her a second chance and a safe space to grow up. Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman adopted a black son named Connor Cruz with her then-husband Tom Cruise in 1995. Connor was just a baby when they adopted him. They also adopted a daughter named Isabella, but Connor is the one with African American heritage. Nicole and Tom raised Connor together while they were married, but even after they got divorced, Nicole continued to talk about how much she loved her kids. She has always said that raising Connor was filled with love, even if their family life wasn't perfect. Connor has stayed pretty private over the years. He doesn't show up in the media often, and Nicole hasn't shared too many personal details either. There have been times when people wondered if Nicole was still close to her adopted kids, especially since they lived with Tom Cruise after the divorce. But Nicole said publicly that no matter where they live or what they believe, she'll always love them unconditionally. Joely Fisher. Joely Fisher adopted a black baby girl named Olivia Luna in 2008. She and her husband, Christopher Duddy, already had 2 biological daughters, so when Olivia joined the family, it became even more diverse. Jolie had always wanted to adopt, even before she had her first child. She called adoption a dream that finally came true. When she saw Olivia, she knew she was meant to be part of their family. She has said in interviews that raising Olivia has been a beautiful journey. At the same time, she knows that being a white mom to a black daughter means extra responsibility. She takes that seriously. She once said that her daughter brings so much light and energy to their family. Olivia is bubbly, smart, and full of personality, and Jolie says they learn from her just as much as she learns from them. Ty Burrell. Ty Burrell, the actor from Modern Family, and his wife Holly adopted 2 African-American daughters. Their first daughter, Frances, was adopted in 2010. Then in 2012, they adopted a second daughter, Greta. Ty has said many times that adopting their girls was the best thing he and Holly ever did. He also said that real-life parenting is very different from playing a dad on TV. In real life, there's no script. You just do your best every single day. Being a white dad to 2 black daughters has made Ty see the world differently. He knows that his kids will face things he never had to think about growing up. That's why he and Holly work hard to make sure their daughters feel loved, safe, and proud of who they are. Ty has also said that he listens a lot. He's not afraid to admit that he doesn't have all the answers, but he's always trying to learn how to be a better parent. Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg and his wife, Kate Capshaw, have a big blended family with 7 kids total. 2 of their children are black and were adopted. One is Theo, who was first adopted by Kate before she married Steven. Later, Steven also legally adopted him and became his dad. Theo is now grown up and has worked in the music industry. He's been pretty low-key, but what's known is that he was raised in a family full of love, support, and opportunity. Even though Steven is one of the most famous directors ever, his family stays pretty private. The couple also adopted a daughter named Michaela in 1996. Michaela is black as well, and over the years she has shared parts of her life publicly, even speaking about finding her own identity and place in the world. She's talked about her struggles and her growth, and her parents have supported her through it all. Steven and Kate have made it clear that they don't just adopt to do good, they do it because they believe in love making a family, not blood. Their home is multicultural, and they've said it makes their family even richer. Heidi Klum. Heidi Klum, who is white and originally from Germany, has 3 black biracial kids with her ex-husband, British singer Seal, who is black. Their names are Henry, Johan, and Lou. These kids were born during Heidi and Seal's marriage, and even after they separated, they've worked together to co-parent them. From the beginning, Heidi has made it clear how proud she is of her kids. She often calls them strong, beautiful, and full of personality. She knows they come from 2 different cultures and backgrounds, and she tries to raise them in a way that makes them proud of both. Heidi has spoken in interviews about how she's had to learn things she never thought about before, like how to properly take care of black hair, how to talk about racism, and how to make sure her kids always feel seen and understood. She doesn't act like she knows everything. Instead, she asks questions, listens, and grows with her kids. Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro has several biracial children because he's had long-term relationships with black women. His first wife, Diane Abbott, is black, and together they had a son named Raphael. De Niro also adopted Diane's daughter, Drina, so she became his child too. Both kids are of mixed race. Later, De Niro had twin sons, Julian and Aaron, with another black woman, Toukie Smith, using a surrogate in 1995. Then he married Grace Hightower, who is also black, and they had a son named Elliot in 1998 and a daughter named Helen Grace in 2011, also via surrogate. That means De Niro has at least 6 black or biracial children. And he's been pretty open about the fact that raising a diverse family has made him more aware of racism and unfair treatment in society. He once joked that he's more alert to racial issues simply because of his kids and the life they're living. Even though De Niro isn't always talking about his family in interviews, when he does, it's clear he loves his kids deeply. He's talked about making sure they're safe, supported, and proud of who they are. Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki, the basketball legend, is married to Jessica Olsen, who is of Kenyan and Swedish descent. That means she's black and white, and together they have 3 biracial kids. Their daughter, Malaika, was born in 2013, followed by sons Max in 2015 and Morris in 2016. Even though Dirk is a white German guy, he's very proud of his multicultural family. He doesn't just talk about it, he lives it. When he got married, they had 2 wedding ceremonies, one in Germany and one in Kenya. That shows how much he respects his wife's culture and background. Dirk has said that his family has opened up his mind a lot. Being married to a black woman and raising biracial kids made him more aware of different experiences and challenges, especially around race and identity. He's not super loud on social media, but in interviews he talks about wanting his kids to feel connected to all sides of who they are, European and African. He wants them to grow up confident, proud, and rooted in their identity. George Lucas. George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, became a dad again in 2013 when he and his wife, Melody Hobson, a successful black businesswoman, had a daughter named Everest Hobson Lucas through a surrogate. Everest is his first biological child, and since Melody is black and George is white, Everest is biracial. George was 69 when Everest was born, and he said becoming a new dad again brought him so much happiness. Even though he already had adopted kids from earlier in life, Everest was special because she was his first biological child. George and Melody are a high-profile couple, and they've made it clear that they're raising Everest to be proud of her background. Melody is one of the most successful black women in business, and George is one of the biggest filmmakers ever, so their daughter is growing up with 2 powerful examples in her life. They keep Everest out of the spotlight, which is understandable, but George has talked about how deeply joyful and important this chapter of his life is. He's all about family now, and he makes time for his daughter. Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger, the frontman of the Rolling Stones, has a daughter named Karis Jagger, who is black. She was born in 1970, and her mom is Marsha Hunt, an African-American singer and actress. When Karis was first born, things were complicated. Mick didn't publicly accept her as his daughter right away. There were court issues, and it took a few years for him to really step into the role of her father. But eventually he did, and they formed a real relationship. Karis grew up and did well for herself. She went to Yale and became a film producer. She stays super private and doesn't show up in the media much. But people who know about her say she's smart, creative, and confident. Out of Mick's 8 kids, Karis is the only one who's black. The rest of his children are from different relationships and are not of African descent. That makes Karis kind of unique in the Jagger family. Even though Mick doesn't talk about her often, he's been seen at events with Karis, and it looks like they have a respectful bond now. He has said before that he's proud of all his kids, and that includes Karis. David Bowie, the legendary rock singer, had a biracial daughter named Alexandria Lexi Zahra Jones with his wife, Iman, who is a black supermodel from Somalia. Lexi was born in 2000, and from the moment she came into the world, Bowie was in love with being her dad. He once said her birth completed his life. Even though he was super famous, Bowie kept Lexi out of the spotlight. He didn't want the media all over her. He and Iman made sure she had a private and peaceful childhood, far away from flashing cameras and red carpets. Lexi is biracial, half black from her mom and half white from her dad, and grew up in New York. After Bowie passed away in 2016, Iman continued raising her and still keeps her life mostly private. But every now and then she shares small things about Lexi, especially how creative she is. Today, Lexi is an artist and musician. She expresses herself through her work and seems really connected to both sides of her background. You can tell her parents raised her to be proud of who she is. Bowie never made a big deal about having a biracial child. He just loved her with all he had. And Iman has carried that same energy forward, making sure Lexi knows where she comes from and feels proud of both her cultures. Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian has 4 biracial kids with rapper Kanye West, who is black. Their names are North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm. Kim is Armenian and white, so her children are mixed black and white. From the beginning, Kim has been very open about learning how to raise black children in today's world. She said that after North was born, she realized she had to do more to understand racism and black culture. That moment really opened her eyes. She's talked about making changes, learning how to do black hair properly, making sure her kids read books that reflect their identity, and having honest talks about race. She also makes sure her kids grow up with strong black role models around them. Kim co-parents the kids with Kanye, even though they're not together anymore. No matter what, she makes it clear that her kids' happiness and safety come first. She also uses her platform to talk about racial injustice, partly because of how it could impact her kids' lives. She doesn't pretend to know everything, but she's trying to raise her children to love who they are and to feel confident as biracial kids in a world that sometimes treats people differently based on their skin color. Prince Harry. Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle have two mixed-race kids, Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana. Meghan's mom is black and Harry is white, so their kids are biracial. This made headlines because Archie is the first known mixed-race child in the modern British royal family. Archie was born in 2019 and Lilibet in 2021. Harry has talked openly about how proud he is to be the dad of mixed-race kids. He wants them to grow up in a fairer, kinder world. That's actually part of the reason he and Meghan stepped away from royal duties, so they could protect their children from media racism and pressure. Harry has admitted that he didn't fully understand racism until he saw what Meghan went through. Having biracial kids made him even more aware. Now he's focused on learning and being a better ally and dad. Meghan and Harry are raising their kids in the U.S. now and trying to keep them grounded and connected to both their black and white heritage. They also want their kids to feel safe being exactly who they are without having to hide or be silent. Ellen Pompeo. Ellen Pompeo, star of Grey's Anatomy, is married to Chris Ivory, a black music producer. Together, they have 3 biracial children, Stella Luna, Sienna May, and Eli Christopher. Ellen has been super vocal about what it's like being a white mom raising black kids. She once said, "My daughters are black, so it's very important they see a lot of images of beautiful, powerful, strong black women." That says a lot about how she's raising them, with intention and love. She makes sure her daughters and son are exposed to positive black role models in books, shows, and real life. She also makes sure they're surrounded by people who understand their experiences, not just people from her own background. Ellen has been on Red Table Talk to speak about race and parenting. She talked about how she's always learning about racism, hair care, identity, and how to make sure her kids grow up confident and proud of who they are. She said that as a white mom, it's not enough to love your kids. You have to fight for them, listen to them, and prepare them for a world that won't always treat them fairly. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss more amazing stories like this.